What's going on, guys? Welcome to For the Fans. I am Kevin, and I'm here with CJ and returning Ryan. What's going on, guys?
Chilling, just like the people in Big Brocello.
Nah, I'm living it hot like in Dire Fest right now.
Man, oh man, what a weekend! What a HOH episode! It's everything's getting popping. Everything's new. Excuse my voice; it's been a little rough out here. Been out here partying in Brochella, you know what I'm saying? Having a great old time. So my voice is gone, but I'm gonna do the best I can to make it through the show tonight. Before we really dive into it, though, I want to let all of y'all know that when we get to 250 subscribers, we are giving away a golden power of veto. Did you know that, Ryan, that we're giving away a golden power?
I did know that. In fact, I'm really excited for it, and I would like to win said golden power of veto. I haven't won a veto comp yet. I would love to win it.
So we would be giving away that, and it's signed by a former house guest. So make sure you guys are getting subscribed. Also, if you didn't get a chance to, go back and check out the Thursday recap episode that had Mike and Pooch on the episode. Pooch was on the recap episode, and he did a long form interview with us on last Tuesday. So I mean, Pushy Man's all over the For the Fans feed now. He's a regular up in here. Who knew? So make sure.
I know. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, Pooch about to take my job. What am I going to do on Monday nights?
Monday nights is about to be Kevin, Ryan, and Pooch. CJ's out. It's going to be the West Coast boys. I think that's what I'm working with. The West Coast boys, who we're going to be.
Well, I was thinking the Unnamed Alliance.
The Unnamed. We're still working on it. I think. Well, with Ryan being out west, like me and CJ, I think something West Coast has to be the 5 PMers, because we're gonna have to watch the show at 5 as opposed to 8, or the Pacific time zone.
Can we be the 5 PMers if we don't have 5 people in our alliance, though?
Oh, that's a good point.
Why does every alliance have to have the number of people in the name? It's a terrible idea. This season has been much better with that until we got the 5 swatters, right? But then before that, it was much better because the names of the alliance, the leftovers, the pound, even post pack, even though they were all named after like people, because the pound is in honor of Pooch, and Post Pack is in honor of Paloma. Even though they were named after people, it was much better than having ones with numbers in it, I think.
Yeah, it shows that they can count. Not every house guest in the show is able to do that. Some of them are really struggling counting numbers this season, though. Like, well, I got this number, this number, this number. Where did they come from?
Listen, B-Bean's right. The Big Ten has 14 teams in it. Then anything is possible. The Pac-12 has less than 12 teams. They have 11 now.
The Big 12 had 10 teams.
Like, if those are the case, then you don't have to put the number in it. And I love it. I love it. Or anything else at the top of the show that we need to go over? Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. You guys, it's been a week. It's been a weekend. We have 2 new HOHs that we got on the last episode. I have to ask both of you guys. Neither one of you guys were on the show on Thursday. It was Poochie Man and Mike. How do y'all feel about a 2-hour episode and us getting not enough time to at least do the schoolyard pick in that thing?
They wasted our time. That episode didn't need to be 2 hours, other than they were trying to fill time. Because you didn't get the competition was at the end. You didn't get an extended interview. You didn't get anything that enlightened you on the game.
Right.
So the reason why it was 2 hours has to do with the production standpoint. If you guys noticed, it was their first episode back where they had a live studio audience.
True.
It was just so they could have longer stuff to show the audience more than to actually do anything with it. They're like, wow, we got the great audience. It's back now.
And
what are we going to show them? Oh, tattoos? Yeah, we can show that for like 20 minutes.
Indy. We had Indy doing stuff. That's right. Let's make sure we show that. Let's make sure we show that. We had that Kyle stuff, but let's not show like too much of that Kyle stuff. A lot of it has to do with racism, so let's not show that.
Let's just show Kyle talk about how he's being targeted by the minorities, but let's not show him trying to target said minorities.
Oh, of course not. Why would we ever show that?
We don't want to show that part.
No, we don't want to have representation on the show. We just want to represent ideas.
That's exactly. And yes, we have 2 hours to get it done. But as Mike says here in the chat, it was a BB snooze fest. And I watched it on the plane and I was like, this is terrible. This is
a snooze fest, but everyone's snoozing except for the house guests. They were up all night.
Well, I mean, when you split the house from 10 people to 2 sets of 5, the feeds are awful that last couple weeks of the season. That's why they play the game so fast, because when there's only 5 people in the house, they're in there on like coloring books, taking naps. There's not a whole lot to do.
It's funny, man, because like we're gonna get into it in this episode. The split was a mistake the way they did it, first and foremost, but with them being split up, it makes it Final 5, and Final 5 is pretty boring. I don't know if people knew that. Yeah. Final 4, Final 5, you gotten down to it. So when you have 2 Final 5s, that's rough. So doing that, I love the idea of the twist, but it was and that's kind of like how Big Brother is, right? You usually love like the idea's great, then the execution is terrible.
Yeah. I feel it. And I personally love this twist. I've run it in a bunch of minis a couple times because it speeds up the game, but it also like adds sort of like the same drama that a tribe swap does in like Survivor per se. It's like the same thing, but splitting into 5 is not a good number when 3 people can't vote. It's not that spicy.
Oh, and when you in addition to that, when you do it to 5, 3 people can't vote, and then you let them pick how it's going to go down, that is terrible. And that leads us right to the episode, actually.
Well, I was going to say, like, would you feel the same way if they did this at 14 instead of at 10?
Oh, at 14, it would have been phenomenal. It would have been spicy.
I disagree. I would not want it at 14, because at 14, you get 2 tribes. And then all of a sudden, people are working together as tribes. I want this to still be at 10, but I want this to be a random swap.
That would have been better.
I want this to be a random swap because, I mean, so Michael is playing the best game, right? And I say that because Michael wins the HoH. Getting into the episode, Michael wins the HoH. Terrence is the runner-up, which I thought was an interesting choice because in the last episode, Michael had the ability to pick basically who he was going to be going against. Mm-hmm. And so for him to give it to Terrence, I thought that was an interesting choice. But
it could also be very spur in the moment, like oh shit, they're 2 people who aren't in my alliance, better throw them up to get them out of the competition, which is how you typically play these competitions. And in a 30-second decision, maybe it didn't hit, maybe he thought about it, but there's like no after confessional thinking about it. So.
True. So you have that happen, and then we get to the pick. Since Michael won, he gets the first pick, and he's in Brochella, which is the inside of the house. And Terrence is going to be at the Dyer Fest, which is the outside of the house, right? Now, I thought it was genius of Michael to make sure he picked his target first.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
By picking your target first, you know that they're going to be over there. You don't have to wonder if they're going to be saved by the other person. It was genius to make sure Jasmine went first. And for Jasmine, she saw it as confirmation of their relationship. Mm-hmm. She's like, I knew I was close to him. Didn't realize I was closer to Brittany, but it is what it is. I'm so happy to be here. Me and Michael to the end.
Well, not only that, she was just real excited that she didn't have to live outside.
Yeah.
Right.
On her birthday year.
Did you know that she had a birthday this decade?
This is her whole birthday decade, actually. Every time she has every day, She just can't wait. She can't go up at all because
Yeah, we just put a candle and a muffin for her, and then we just
yes. Oh man, I don't know if you guys. I mean, side note, I don't know if you saw been seen on Twitter. Daniel decided to go live and watch the episode last night on Instagram. Yeah, and he like.
I wish I knew that because I would have booed him on his Instagram.
He was blasting Turner for being. I think he said I think he called him a mean name, starts with a P, and for not telling Jasmine about the muffin. What a child. It was ridiculous. Daniel has leaned all the way into the villain edit. He has just decided to just be the villain. Whereas
game's over, bro. Game is over.
Yeah, go away, my guy. We will not be asking Daniel to be out of here. But we have the first pick being Jasmine. She's super stoked. She's super happy. We go to Terrence. And then Terrence picks his closest ally in Turner. I thought that was a good idea. It kept Turner safe. Terrence is still working with Turner at this time, so that was a good move for him. What do you guys think of him taking Turner?
I thought it was a good move. That's probably what I would have done in the situation. Like, my first idea would be keep my ally safe over get my target out, because you can have a million targets in Big Brother, but you can only have so many close number one allies.
Correct.
Yeah, and like from watching Terrence in the house, I feel like Turner probably is his number one right now, because Nicole was his number one and she went home, and then Daniel was his number one and he went home. So maybe it's not the best for Turner to be with Terrence and be his number one, because Terrence's number ones tend to go home.
True. Now, the next pick was back to Michael. And Michael set this up brilliantly, right? Take your target, then take people that are going to take out your target. So his next pick is Brittany. By Terrence taking his bestie, he's like, I'm gonna take my bestie. There's no way Brittany's gonna see the block. Obviously, I can make sure that happens. In addition, by Brittany not seeing the block, I know that's a vote for Jasmine without question.
Yep.
I mean, I don't feel like there's any discussion there. It just makes the most sense to, like, now that you've got your target over there, take the next person. After that, Terrence takes Alyssa, and Alyssa is not happy about being picked to go to Dire Fest.
You know what's funny is Alyssa probably would have been super stoked if she got to go to the real Fire Fest until she showed up. But now she knows what Fire Fest looks like. She's like, yeah, no, I'm not trying to reenact that.
Nope.
No, she doesn't want to sleep on any tents or anything like that. Just butterfly pool floaties.
That is so true. And there are no butterfly pool floaties outside.
Dire Fest just doesn't give her the butterflies.
Not at all. Next, you have Taylor being chosen by Michael. Our girl gets to be inside the house, living the carefree life, and that's another vote for Michael. If he has to book Taylor up, it is what it is. But Taylor's not going home because Brittany's not sending Taylor home. So we're good to go there. Because Michael breaks any ties also. So with Michael having Brittany, Michael has 2 votes.
Yeah, he can send home whoever he wants.
After that, the next pick for Terrence is Joseph, which leaves Monty and Kyle left. How did you guys feel about Monty and Kyle being the last 2 to get chosen?
I think it's funny. Well, I was going to say, I think it's funny because Michael doesn't really want to work with Kyle, but he wants to leave his options open. Versus with Monty sitting there, the quote-unquote house wants to get Monty out. Picking between the 2 of them, it's like, oh, I can take this guy, say he's my target, and then whatever I decide to do, if he goes home, he goes home. Oops. If he doesn't go home, somehow Monty flipped the vote. I don't know what happened.
Correct, because they're splitting 2, which was a fantastic move. Which leaves Kyle to go to Dire Fest. And Kyle's a little bit salty about not getting picked. Ryan, how would you feel about not getting picked, Ryan?
Well, it's always like it's a social game. So anytime you get picked for anything in a challenge, you obviously have to be thinking about it. Like for the button pressing thing, looking for the VIPs, if somebody picks you to compete in the challenge, then they don't want you to win. So if somebody's not picking you on your I guess, tribe party team festival, whatever it's called, you got to be thinking about the different ramifications that could mean. And if you're last, you don't know what that means. You could be either, I want to work with this person the least, or I don't feel close to this person at all. There's just so many different possible ways that could be interpreted. And my head would be spinning if I was Kyle right there, just thinking about all of that.
I agree. And like Kyle is like low key, and I not to get into the feeds of a little bit that we did see before they went down. Kyle was a little upset with Michael for not picking him, but like Michael's like, bro, if I leave you over there, there's a job that we've discussed you doing, so go do that. Like I would say, I have no idea why Kyle's so salty about this.
Well, realistically, Kyle should be thinking, oh, thank goodness that I'm on the same side as Alyssa, because people target showmances. They could have both, like, we're going to be together, so only one of us might go home, versus they could have targeted both of us individually. We'd both be going to the jury this week.
Right. Even worse, though, is like, if my alliance really pushed for me to send out my girlfriend 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And then now we have a possibility to isolate her. I mean, imagine Monty, Joseph, Turner, Terrence, and Alyssa. Alyssa's going to be on the block, right? Yeah. Because Monty and Joseph are going to be like, hey, man, BB besties, baby. BB besties. I know you're going to go for Monty. Monty's like, go ahead, put me up next to Alyssa. I'm willing to be that pawn for you. Terrence is like, look at me. I'm about to make a move and flip this. Or DJ Showtime is going to flip the track and put this on Monty.
He does have the best part about that. You got to give him that.
You know what the best part about that was? That was probably an actual line he would have said if he was DJ. DJ Showtime's about to mix it up and take out the biggest threat, Monty. What other DJ puns can I think of? DJ Showtime is about to show you what time it is when I take out Monty. And then like Turner and Joseph obviously vote out Alyssa, and then Terrence is confused once again. What happened? I don't know. Anyway,
I don't understand what happened. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So now that we have the house split in two, I love that immediately after they find out that they're having a pizza party in the HoH room for everybody at Brochella, and the outside people grab your stuff and go the fuck outside. And grab your and we're gonna have the pizza party while they grab their shit. So go ahead.
Yeah, because that's how we're gonna isolate you. You guys go eat, have a good time. You guys go pack up so that you can be out in the sun for a week.
It's just the unnecessary salt that they just rub it into all the wounds that just make it so juicy.
It's true. It just makes it that much better. The only thing that would have been better if Jasmine was outside. Being said, if Terrence was evicted, Jasmine would have been the outside HoH, and it would have been hilarious.
I think Jasmine would have left.
On my birthday month. On my birthday month. Come on.
I think she would have self-evicted as a birthday gift to her.
It would have been something she would have needed to do, even though she was the HoH again. But we get DJ Showtime and the group getting their stuff together, going outside. Alyssa's happy that she's with Kyle. At least Kyle's upset about how everything went down. But we get Terrence going right up to Alyssa and saying, hey, I'm going to make sure nothing happens to you. I thought that was a little bit of good gameplay by him.
But
I thought it was smart.
Honestly, I don't think it was game. I think he was really like trying to find a new number one, aka someone else to send home.
Hey, but that's working for him. If all of his number ones are going him beside him, you can tell this great story at the end. Like, I was on the block like 27 times, and everyone else went out besides me. And Alyssa clearly is down on luck, clearly needs numbers. So why not take these people? Why not take these bigger threats in the line with them? So that eventually they go home over him.
Well, it's funny because Alyssa's also sitting there and she's like, I have Kyle. and I have Jasmine, and that's it. And Terrence is like, well, let's make an alliance. It doesn't change the fact that you are still on the wrong side of the numbers. And Terrence, unlike some of the other HOHs this season, is looking at someone who is on the wrong side of the numbers and saying, hey, let's work together to get the right side of the numbers.
We're on the wrong side of the numbers. I like them odds. Let's go ahead and run it out, because I heard that we're down, but we're not out. So let's make this happen.
Yeah, it's showtime.
But showtime and the showmance makes 3 out of 5, and that's the votes you need.
That's all you need.
This is true. Kyle is very much aware that he's going to have to choose between Alyssa and the alliance right here, because things just are not going to go his way the way this breaks down with the numbers. And it ain't love funny, y'all. ain't love funny, because like he looks and says, I'm in a group of 7, or I could be in 2. I think I'm gonna be in 2 and pull in Terrence, so that way. And Terrence is like, "Hey man, I love them odds. 3 versus 6 or 7. Let's do it. Let's run them numbers." And that's what he does, right? Kyle, while they're outside, we're gonna talk about the outside first. Kyle is looking at it. We get a conversation from Terrence and Turner first. Terrence is like, "Hey, you're good. You're gonna be safe. You're gonna be fine." He's like, "Perfect, cool." Talks to Joseph, kind of gives him the same thing, but Terrence is kind of targeting Joseph, and we'll circle back to that. Kyle looks at the landscape and decides that now's the time he's going to come clean to Alyssa and tell her what's going on.
Yeah, I get it that, like, if you want to take your shot and you want to turn the numbers, now's the time to do it. The only problem is you're going to take your shot and you're still going to be on the wrong side of the numbers when you come out. Like, if you want to take your shot with Terrence, like, yeah, it's going to happen this week, but there's still presumably going to be 5 members of the leftovers against now you, Terrence, and Alyssa, or 6 members.
I think it was a smart move, because let's say Jasmine goes on the other 5, and then let's say Alyssa is their target, Alyssa goes on this side. Then the only person not in leftovers left over is Terrence. There has to be somebody else in the block, and Kyle's knows that it's probably going to be him, based off of the other relationships, based off of everyone's, especially Taylor and Monty are kind of sketched out with him being super close to how Alyssa was and viewing him already on the bottom alliance already. So if he's already going to be on the bottom, and it's going to be down to 8, you don't want to be 1 and 8. You would much rather be 3 of 8. And I think that's smarter.
Here's the thing, though, Ryan. As B. Bean says, love has started wars in the past. Now, in the Big Brother house, a war started. The war started on Real Time Monday when he decided not to put up Alyssa, right? He chose then that he was ready to go to war for her. And it's weird because he was in a very good spot. He was working with Brittany and Michael in a secret 3. He had the pound and himself, Joseph, Turner, and Monty. And in those numbers, Taylor's the one that's on the out. As we've talked about on the West Coast podcast before us here on Monday nights, we talked about Kyle's rumblings before, and it becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy about the people of color working together. He was in the best spot just 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Just 2 weeks ago with Michael's HOH. If he doesn't start coming with that rhetoric, he's not the first one that's going to be out the house. No one's looking at him. But then the rhetoric starts, and he starts looking at the landscape, and he decides that he needs to do what he has to do to set himself up on a losing side. And then it gets escalated on Monday on the POV on the POV ceremony when he doesn't put up Alyssa, right? And he doesn't even recover, because if he recovers and says, guys, listen, I'm really playing for the leftovers, but Alyssa's really good for my game, and the showmance is really good for my game, And now I can't be the one that she has to go, but she has to go. I definitely agree. I just can't be the one to like backdoor her, right? Because I'm the one that's playing the veto. Anyone else though? That's good to go. But he said those words, but he said it after fighting tooth and nail about keeping her. But if you just say that from the jump of listen, it just can't be me that does it. But if I didn't know about it, then we're good to go.
They gave him that out. Taylor even said, "Oh, I could just pretend like I didn't tell you ahead of time, and then you have no blood on your hands. Alyssa doesn't have to know."
Well, like he actively decided he was picking Alyssa over the leftovers weeks ago, but he performed it during the veto competition when he took the veto. Because all he had to do was leave the veto with Indy, and
Indy takes herself down.
Yeah,
Alyssa goes up. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But I did not know you were going to go up instead, Alyssa. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh. Also, how great would it have been if Jasmine was wearing a leotard all week? That would have been hilarious too.
On her birthday week?
On her birthday week, she gets a punishment. That's so funny.
Happy birthday.
That's so funny, right? Like, that would have been so much better. And it would have been better for his game. And then Alyssa goes if he's like actually okay with Alyssa going. But like me being said, my conclusion is Kyle does not like money. And that's a fact. Because if those moves that we just talked about are like Cardi B said, making money moves. You know what I'm saying? That's how you do it. And he didn't want to do any of that. Instead, he thought it was best to side with Alyssa, which I'm not so mad about. Because Ryan, you're right. In the situation he's now in, he is the number 7 of the leftovers. Mm-hmm. And so he goes and he tells Alyssa everything. And I don't understand. I thought for sure we would get a confessional with Alyssa being like pissed. But she's not. Because he tells her, listen, there's a group of 7. Me and Mike, Monty and Joseph have been running the show, which they haven't. Me, Michael, and Brittany are sick of it, and we want out. We're trying to align all the white people. I mean, we're trying to figure out a way out of this thing, and maybe Turner can come with us because he's also white. I mean, maybe Turner could come with us because he's also on the outs, and we want to work with you, Alyssa. We've been a 7. We came together before the Amira vote. We took out Amira. We took out Daniel. Took out Nicole. It was supposed to be you last week, but I wouldn't do it because I love you so much. And here we are. And what do we do now? We need to try to get Joseph and Turner on the block. And he tells her everything. I was surprised that there was no blowback because 2 weeks ago, Daniel told her this exact story. And to her face, Kyle said, "What? No, that's not what's happening."
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, he's like, everything Daniel told you was the truth. I have been lying to you for a month and a half.
My quarrel with Alyssa is she was my winner pick coming in because you can tell that she does have a strategic mind. You can tell that she does care about the game.
Know the game.
Coming in, she wanted to be a big player. And then she decided, nope, I don't need that anymore. And it was like, Alyssa, what's going on? Like, you can see everything going in her head, and you can see her go, okay, so this is what the game should be. This is how I should react to it. Now let me just ignore that, push that to the side, and look at Kyle's pretty face.
Ryan, like, are you a Game of Thrones fan?
I've read the first 2 books.
She is essentially Sansa at the beginning of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Right? She's essentially Sansa. She is a Disney princess that has not had any hardship yet. She's like, it's a fairy tale to her. So you're right. She came in like, I'm about to play this. Oh my God, he's so pretty. And then after that, she forgot that she was in a game and she needs to do everything for her boyfriend and wants to live this princess life. And it's sad.
Because the thing about Alyssa is she is a big social threat. She is a threat in
Yeah.
this game. She has the ability to do great things, and she is in actually a really good position. But I don't think she realizes it. She doesn't know that she's doing good, and she just has no idea what's going on, and that kind of bothers me. Like,
it's odd. It's so weird to me, and it seemed like she, like you said, she has the know-how. She has the know-how, but doesn't use it at all.
Yeah, it's the I don't understand the idea of I'm going to throw my game away because like I'm gonna chase love. But then I also don't understand the fact that she's letting him lie to her face. And now because he wants to quote unquote work with her to protect her, it's okay. What about all the lies beforehand? Like, how do you know you can trust this dude now? Do you think he really had a change of heart? He's going to try to save you just because he took the veto and then planned not to use it? Like,
exactly. And CJ, I feel like her reaction to that was, okay, I know Kyle's lying with me. I know I can't really trust him anymore. But in a game sense, this is my best stance to stay in the game. I would totally respect that. I would get that. I would get that she'd had to work in the game with Kyle in the position that she's currently in. But
right.
that's not why she's doing it. She's like, yes, I am fine with that because Kyle is pretty. And that's it. That's literally
it. Because Kyle is pretty. That's literally it. It's ridiculous. And that it seems like Cloud, even Kyle coming forward and saying, hey, so yeah, I've been lying to you for like a long time. And it's like, okay, you're still so pretty. How can I stay mad at you? Bruh, he sent all your friends home. All your friends home. All of them.
Yeah, because now she can spend more one-on-one time with them because she doesn't have any friends to distract her.
Well, after Kyle tells her all this, I also loved, and they didn't show this in the thing, but they talked about it, showed in the feeds. He goes and when he's telling her all this, he says, somehow Joseph found out about the old school alliance. She told you, fool. She told you to herself. And so he said that to her. He says to her, should I tell Terrence? She's like, well, yes, like that's what you would need to do because Terrence at the moment is thinking about putting Alyssa who he said he was going to save. He was going to put her on the block next to Kyle, and they were going to backdoor Joseph, even though 5 people play. Therefore, all 5 people play in the veto. He felt like that would make him not go so hard in the veto, but okay. And so that was going to be the original plan.
There's still only 5 of you.
Yeah. Okay. That was going to be the original plan. So Kyle goes and he tells Terrence everything that's going on. And Terrence, I do respect Terrence being like, man, there were some things that were a little fishy, and this is just confirmation about all of it. I'm glad you're letting me know. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but I thought it was a good, if you're going to tell Alyssa, you got to just, I guess, sell everybody out.
Yeah.
Right? Because at that point, everyone might as well know, because that's the only way you're going to save yourself at this time. I think it's so interesting that Kyle's like so scared about going on the block. Like, no one wants to go on the block. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm not saying that you should be out there volunteering yourself to go on the block or being like okay with it. But like, he's like a person like watching, when you see like those Indiana Jones movies or like those movies where like the wall of spikes is like coming in on you.
Yeah.
If he thinks the block is coming, he is literally clawing at the door to try to get out. And he'll like do almost anything. I mean, we saw it happen when Daniel had to go home. He was like trying everything he could to keep Daniel so that way he didn't have to go up to get it done.
And
do you see it?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just saying, in the reality, as long as Alyssa's not on the block, he stays. So they just need one vote in Terrence. It's not that deep.
Right. Yeah. It's not that deep. But here he is saying, you know what, the best thing to do? I'm gonna just fuck it all. I'm gonna just go for it. And I'm gonna blow it all up. And he tells Terrence, and Terrence then does a good job of circling to Turner and Joseph to see if they're going to corroborate the story, if they're going to give anything up. And, you know, they're sticking firm. They don't.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah. And then that gives DJ Showtime some pause. That's going to also give us some pause, because let's go to the inside, right? The inside, we see some very, very simple things going on. Michael gets his HOH letter. Everybody's happy. He gets his HOH room. Everybody's happy. And while they're inside, we have the first meeting to be had, and it's between Jasmine and Michael, because he's just going to go in the order that he grabbed him. And also, I just need to talk to Jasmine first, because she's the one going up, and the rest of us can just kick it in 30 minutes.
We all know what's going on. So
yeah,
let me just talk to her first, so she can go take a nap and we can hang out.
Right. So Jasmine gets the first one-on-one, and during her first one-on-one, he tells her, listen, I got to put up Monty, because that's who I'm trying to go for. Because for whatever reason, I have no idea why this has worked, but just saying Monty's your target seems to have everyone being like, yep, that sounds about right.
Well, because Daniel said he was a threat, so he's a threat.
Now, I do have to ask you both. If Monty makes it to the end, could he win the game without having done anything but be called a big threat, but never have to do anything threatening?
Oh, absolutely.
It depends on who he's sitting next to.
So let's say he's sitting next to Brittany.
Yes.
I think Brittany's done a lot. I think Brittany has to fight harder than Monty does, because Monty has the perception already that he's a big threat. Everyone going out thinks, oh, Monty was the big threat. Oh, Monty's the big threat. Oh, Monty's the big threat. And if he's just chilling, he can say, look, I was a big threat this entire game, and I was still chilling. Yep. Why were y'all struggling so hard when I was just chilling?
I think Brittany would have to be what's his face in 8 Mile. Like, she would have to go up there and just eviscerate Monty, be like, y'all, this is y'all's king. This is who y'all's talking about. What has he done? I've been in here grinding. I've been grinding day in and day out. Like, she's got to go in there and just hit him with his own lyrics. Like that's I think that's what you have to do. His real name is Clarence. You know what I'm saying? And Clarence lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. Like, that's what she's gonna have to go do if she were to go against Monty in the end, because Monty hasn't actually done anything. And as Jackie says, it is all about perception. And the perception is that he's done a bunch. But if you were able to lay out what did he do but keep y'all shook, and we were able to use him as a pawn to get all y'all out.
Realistically, because the people believe the hype, I wouldn't be surprised if Monty had the third best odds to win the game right now. I think Michael wins hands down. Monty might be number 2 or 3.
And I wouldn't say Monty's done nothing. I would say he wouldn't have a lot of competition wins, and he's not really pushing a lot of players at himself, but it's very much so a social game, and he's working really hard in these social relationships, and he has a good perception of it. He knows that he's seen as a big threat, and unlike Kyle, who's freaking out trying to scamper off the block, Monty knows how to say, okay, people are viewing me, they're how to target me. How do I spin this in a way that makes them want to work with me more? So, and that happens in his conversation with Michael, which we'll see and probably talk about in just a couple seconds.
We will. But I want to talk about Monty just a little bit more right here, because just the perception, because Monty is essentially a unloaded gun, right? Yeah. He's an unloaded gun. You went into a liquor store to rob a liquor store, and you just waved it around, and there's nothing in there. There's no clip, and that's essentially Monty. Because to get out Daniel, you said you're going to put up Monty. Nicole was worried about Monty. Monty was with HOH. You get Daniel there. You get what's her face? Indy last week. Taylor's like, of course, I'm putting a Monty. An unloaded gun. Not really going to happen. Nothing. No real threat, but looks like a threat.
But it's funny because the Monty's argument, if he got to the end, is that he was in the room when it happened, which is what Kyle's trying to do right now. He's trying to always be on the right side of the conversations, the right side of the votes, doesn't want to touch the block. Monty's actually doing that. And part of that is volunteering to go up. So you could say, yeah, I chose to go up because I knew I wasn't going home. And that's a compelling argument.
It is. And that was something that was interesting because first we have, like we talked about, Jasmine being up there. Jasmine kind of gets the understanding that she's going to be the one as the pawn sitting next to Monty, the target, right? Because it's an easy thing to surmise. Like Brittany's safe, obviously. Brittany's not going up at all. That's his best friend. That's not happening. And Taylor is backdoor option, maybe not, probably not. Taylor's probably fine. And she was on the block 4 times. I ain't been on the block at all.
Nope.
It just makes sense. I did love when Jasmine went downstairs afterwards. She's like, I worked so hard to get here. And this is just terrible.
She did work hard to get there. She had to go all the way down those stairs to get that.
Oh, she meant to get to the bed. She worked so hard to get to the bed. Now, Dick here in the chat says that Brittany is Michael's GOAT. And I don't know if that's true because Brittany is making moves also. So it's she's not as goaty as she seems, in my opinion. Now, against Michael, everybody's a GOAT.
Yeah.
At the moment, everyone's a GOAT. Michael's now won 6 competitions.
Yeah, 6.
First 2-time HOH. First 2-time HOH. 4 veto wins. He's just and it doesn't count the ones that he threw, right? You definitely know he probably could have beat Jasmine in that pie eating contest because now it was a pie eating contest. But Michael had no interest in being HOH at that time.
Nope.
So he comes in second. I think he legitimately lost the one with the hand on the buzzer thing. I think he legitimately lost that. But he was cool with it because it was with Brittany. But there was most of the competitions he's performed in, he's been able to win.
Yeah,
so
and if he's not winning, he's coming close.
Correct. So anyone sitting next to Michael is a GOAT. So for Brittany to be specifically the GOAT, I don't think so. But that was one thing I wanted to talk about since Dick did bring it up in the chat. But let's go going back to the conversations. He talks to Monty. As y'all said, Monty volunteers to go up. He's like, whew, that makes that easy because you were going up anyway. But I'm so glad you told me it's okay for me to put you up because that's what I was always going to do. And if, oops, you go home, well, you can't oops and go home. You can't oops and go home.
I mean, you can if Taylor and Brittany do the dirty work and you're like, those girls, they went rogue. I had no idea. I'm shocked.
No. No one will believe that. No one, when the boys come back inside, no one believes that. No one believes that. Would you believe that, Ryan?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe that Michael and Brittany would do something separately. Like,
yeah, and then Michael had no idea that Brittany was going to go rogue.
They'd have to make up some weird veto story, like, yeah, this person won this thing, and then totally get Jasmine on board with it. And Jasmine would just say, I will tell you if you tell me who ate my muffin. And that'd be it.
Well, it's also funny because Michael knows that Monty being in the house is a shield for him. At what point do you take the shield out yourself so that the shield can't get you?
You never have to. Because we just talked about perception. When he gets there, he's like, I've won 7 vetoes and 19 HOH competitions. Monty won 1. I kept Monty here because as big and strong as he looks, I'm the one pulling the strings. I'm the one who knocks. I'm Walter White. and then everyone would be like, "Oh my gosh, Michael's the winner, best Big Brother player in history." Dan Giesling, move over. It's now Michael's show.
I'm not ready to go that far, but Michael's been wrecking shop.
Yeah, and so that answers Dick's question. He just came in the chat. Why not send Monty home? Because you don't need to, right? You don't need to. Monty's going to be coming for him though, so that's something that you do need to worry about. But right now, you have a leftovers majority in this group. Jasmine's got to go. It's perfectly fine. You get the leftovers hanging out, chatting it up, just chatting it about it, and they're like, "Hey, listen, Alyssa should go. If Alyssa doesn't go, we know it's Kyle's fault." So
well, it's funny because they're sitting there and they're like, Terrence can't go home. Alyssa and Jasmine are the only two left who aren't in the leftovers. This week should be pretty academic.
Yep. Simple.
But when you go back outside, you see that that's not the case.
It should be simple. It's interesting because outside we get the nominations. And after all the talking and plotting and planning, Joseph goes up. Intern Daddy Turner is up. And Turner's face, and it just drops. It's wide open mouth, and it just drops. Shocked. Because DJ Showtime spun another record and flipped the script on us all. And it's very obviously Kyle's hands are all over it, right?
Yes. It's funny because Turner thought, he was in tight with Terrence. Terrence puts Turner up. I'm sure Terrence did not tell either of them that there was a good chance they were going up, even as a pawn. So the fact that you just threw both of them up and then you make a speech about trust and secrets, it's an effective blindside. But when there's this few people, as Turner said in his diary right at the end of the show, if I'm still here next week, I'm 100% going after Terrence. Terrence did nothing to downplay the effect of this, and all you did was make an enemy, even if he stays.
Yeah. It's an interesting situation because I know for a fact that they did not know, because he told Alyssa that he was going to blindside and then make something up like they've been doing to him all this whole time about how something came out of nowhere at the last second. Terrible strategy on it because, you're just mad. But great move by Terrence, because if you believe Kyle, this is the way to go.
Yep. But if you're thinking, it seems awfully convenient that this alliance exists the week that I can save him and his girlfriend, whether it's true or not. Because realistically, if Kyle comes to me, if I'm Terrence in this situation, Kyle comes to me with this information. Okay, Turner, you've been my boy most of this game. I'm going to go to him and I'm not going to ask him about it. I'm going to tell him. So this dude says he's in an alliance with you. He says that, all these things happened. I can take out the rat in your alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle goes home. Oh man, he was trying to go against us, so we went against him. Meanwhile, I'm now your secret person in your alliance, and you're on the right side of the numbers where you could pick somebody off in your alliance first, and I can be in your final four because I did you this favor this week, and people don't know we're working together.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the strategy of it versus Terrence is so short-sighted. He's like, well, I'm going to stick with the showmans because if I make a final 3 with them, there's no way I will ever make a final 2 unless I win. It just seems kind of dumb.
I disagree with that. I feel like with your whole logic there with him, the idea of him saying, yo, Turner, the Kyle just said this to me. add me to be your side hoe in your alliance, like he's still just a side hoe if he does that. Like there's still that big alliance, and being buddies with one person in it doesn't mean he has like the Kinkman spot to control what's going on in it. Whereas if there is a showmance which he can use as a shield, everyone knows that they're going to target the showmance before they target Terrence. And I think that's ultimately better for his game. It gives him more opportunity and more control, sort of being with the shields, than being a floater in alliance that has crumbling numbers that stick together and he's not in it.
I don't think that's a terrible idea. I think Ryan might be onto something. My real question, though, is that did Terrence consider that? Or is that just the result of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, did he consider, like, if I work with the showmans, they're going to be bigger targets than me? Or did he say, I'm mad about this alliance that took out my friends, so I'm going to go for them?
I think that DJ Showtime went to his record player and put on some angry music. He was looking for some maybe some Metallica, played that record, and ended up with Kyle and Alyssa at his party.
I think that's possibly what happened, right?
Yeah, he played some white people music, and then
he played some NSYNC, and they knew that it was on and popping. Jackie says here in the chat, she thinks that Alyssa was smart. She would cut Kyle this week after finding out he's been lying to her again to make a big move, but she's addicted to those 10-second sessions. Listen, those 10-second love-making sessions, they are what they are, and that's what's going on. Me Bean just can't believe Jackie wrote that. And we read it. So it is what it is. So in Dire Fest, we have Turn Daddy Turner and Joseph 25 on the block. Inside, we have a pretty run-of-the-mill HOH ceremony. Michael puts up Monty and Jasmine. Jasmine's the pawn, wink emoji. Monty's the target, wink emoji. We're playing for veto. We'll see what happens in the veto. It's super, like, I as boring as the inside of the house is, I love the fact that it's very run-of-the-mill.
Yeah, because like I can only focus my energy on one set of the house, and knowing that I don't need to watch the inside feeds at all makes it pretty easy.
Ryan, do you think they should be making a bigger move on the inside?
Absolutely not. I think big move doesn't mean smart move. I think those two can be very different things. The smart move is definitely to stick with the leftovers on that side, especially if you don't know what the other side of the house is going to look like.
I agree. Which goes back to what we were talking about earlier at the beginning of the show. I like this being done at 10. I wish it was random and then you had to like figure it out from there. But I like this being done at 10 because there are things put in place that you could have to now just navigate around. Whereas if you do it at 14, like, I mean, you've watched so many times on like Survivor, especially on Survivor, where there's people that would probably get along if they started together and would probably work better together. But since they didn't start on the same tribe, everybody wants to play stage tribe strong, and they're just down in the numbers. So then they try to pagong them. That's boring, and that's terrible. And it doesn't mean that it should work because you not randomly got put together on the same tribe. So not randomly because casting does it, but like it's random for you. You didn't know any of these people going in. When there's people that you just vibe better with on the other tribe, but you can't work with them because you're against them. In this situation, since you've had time to build bonds and make strategy, if you randomly had like a tribe swap and you just got put into two random tribes, you got to do what you're doing right now and work from within those things and figure out, is it time to make a move? Is it not time to make a move? Am I swap screwed? Like, how is this looking in this moment? And that would have been super interesting to me. But, c'est la vie.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And there are different ways to do, like, if their goal was to have, like, the HOHs show their cards, there are other ways to make people show their hands socially without giving the HOH pretty much their picket white fence pick desired dream home of an HOH. Like they could do like the reverse schoolyard pick where like you pick somebody for the other house, or you could do after you pick somebody, then they pick the next person. And there's like different ways that's not just HOH decides everything. You get to see cards from like multiple people, multiple like I don't want to be with this person kind of vibes. There are other ways to spice it up other than say you get all the power.
Yeah,
that also would have been great if it's like, okay, you pick Jasmine, you pick the next person, and then Jasmine's like, Alyssa, get over here. Cool, Alyssa, you pick the next person. Kyle, get over here.
And then Kyle picks Brittany, and then Brittany is fine.
Yeah. No, because Brittany still doesn't go up. Like right?
Unless third person wins veto. That would be spicy.
I think what would have happened if you had it that way, I think Michael picks Brittany first.
Yeah.
If you're letting them know that they're going to go down the line, I don't think he picks Jasmine first. I think he picks Brittany first, and then Brittany picks Jasmine. So that way Brittany's over there, and you wait until Alyssa has been picked. You know what I'm saying?
Jasmine never would have picked Taylor.
Right. Jasmine never picks Taylor.
Or maybe Jasmine does pick Taylor, thinking that she can convince Michael to send Taylor home.
But even like you were saying, like it makes them show their cards a little bit more, right? Because you have to trust that the other person is going to understand how the strategy is going to work out. But if you let the HOH pick it all, then they're like, okay, this is my target. These are my voters. Adios. Yeah, adios. But instead, you let nothing up to chance, and it led to a bad twist.
Yeah, like it's interesting because I really would have liked to see an all leftovers set.
I did not. That was the last thing I wanted to see.
No, I mean, I don't want to see it from I want the leftovers to succeed standpoint, but it would have been a very interesting week if you would have had Monty, Michael, Brittany, Kyle, and Turner. Like, who are you cutting there? Like, does Michael double down with Kyle? Or do the guys take a shot at Kyle because Alyssa's not there that week? Like, it would have been an interesting week, far more interesting than what we're getting right now, because once Kyle flipped, which we all knew he was going to do, it was kind of academic once Terrence bought the story.
Yeah. You're right. And that's what's rough. So before we wrap up with the episode, CJ, how do you rate Taylor's HOH week on a scale of 1 to 10, knowing everything that happened? What would you rate on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it chaos because she had no idea what was going on the whole time. She was just like, I'm going to do this. And they're like, well, that doesn't work because of this. And then she's like, well, I want to do this. And they're like, yeah, you can't do that either. And then she's like, okay, fine, I'll do this because you guys said let's do that. And then the next day, I don't want to do that anymore. Let's do this. Taylor, you can't do that because of this. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm rating it chaos.
I need a number, though. What's the number of chaos?
5, because that's how many letters there are in chaos.
Okay. Ryan, what would you rate?
I would... It depends on like which person you're rating it for. Because for some people, it was terrific strategy weeks.
It's for Taylor's game.
For Taylor's game, I thought it went pretty well for her, despite all the different changes in targets. She got somebody who was out of her alliance out, and she got to maintain a good social rapport with pretty much most people, except for maybe Kyle, Alyssa, and Alyssa didn't even know that they had no social rapport. So I'd give it a 6. I'm gonna one-up it from CJ's.
Okay, I would have to give it a 5. And we got some 4s, 5s, and 6s in the chat. I have to give it a 5 because she weakened her spot in the alliance, right? Because she appeared indecisive and she appeared chaotic, and she had been touted as a threat and someone to be afraid of and someone that was coming for the people. But then she went out there and unfortunately made herself lower, you know what I'm saying, into the game. So I would have to go because of the chaos. I mean, turn her off on working with her. It had Michael and Brittany being a little wary about like we don't really know if she's so impressionable. We don't really know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I think I would have to give it a 5. In the chat, we had Jill the pill. She gave it a 4. Dick gave it a 5. We have Jackie here with the 6. I think it's all relatively in the middle. Everyone's pretty much in the middle on it. What would you guys rate? How would you guys rate the week in general? Indy went home. Do you think that was the right move for the leftovers? On a scale of 1 to 10.
I think it was I would say I'd give that a 9 actually.
Okay.
Yeah. For the reason being that oftentimes in these games, if you don't take out the floaters early, then they will float to the end. Indy was definitely floating, and if they kept all the floaters around for another week, Indy would have taken their spot. Indy wasn't working with them. There's no pros to keeping Indy. Right. So their alliance voted together. Yes, it was messy in terms of Kylissa with that kind of debate. But overall, I think Indy was the right person to go for their game. Because they kept to keep Kyle and Alyssa as a potential target for them to target later in the game, as opposed to Indy, who would have just been there.
But I think that Indy being in the 5 swatters was actually a worse target than Terrence, because Terrence is a man on an island, literally. Like, he's not allied with anyone. He could have taken a shot at anyone at any time. Versus with Indy, you could at least try to get her to put up Jasmine or Alyssa and possibly get that person out, because as long as one of them is on the block, you have the votes. So, like, realistically, they probably weren't afraid of Terrence winning an HOH this week, other than the fact that you split the house down the middle, which just really narrows the targets he can take on in the first place.
So what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Because the guys were afraid of Indy for whatever reason, probably have to go with like a 7, because the will of the alliance was to get her out, and they got her out.
So for me, I'm going to be rating this much lower. I'm going to be around a 4. And the reason is because they could not convince Taylor to put up Jasmine or Alyssa. Unless she wanted to put up Alyssa, Kyle couldn't get it done. But of the 4, strategically, Jasmine is a much bigger threat for them, and she was much more annoying. And so if they were able to get her up, Joseph already had Indy, Kyle has Alyssa, Terrence is a bit of a wild card, but Turner was kind of with Terrence. Jasmine was the one like rallying them all together. Now the twist has kind of separated Jasmine from her pack, and so that makes it a lot easier for them to take out Jasmine now. But I think they needed to convince Taylor to put up Jasmine. Now I understand why Taylor did not, and I agree with it, and that's perfectly fine. Those are her reasons. Yeah. But if it wasn't going to be her, it had to be Alyssa. She probably should have put Alyssa up initially instead of trying to backdoor her or keep her safe, because those were the two that were really pushing it. And Sheldon here agrees Alyssa going home was the best move for the leftovers once it all was said and done. But Sheldon's reasoning is even funnier, because that's an extra 10 seconds of Kyle's time that they get to talk strategy if only they had sent Alyssa home. And that's the truth. That's 10 more seconds they would have got. And Jackie, though I am a monster, because I know it was her birthday week, it would have been great TV. And for a little while, Taylor and Joseph were here for the TV, baby. And that would have been great TV to send her home during her birthday week, month, year, date, decade, lifetime. So it would have been great.
Realistically, for Taylor, like, I know you don't want to take the first shot at a member of the leftovers, but if she was gonna play chaotically anyway, why not put up Kyle and Alyssa together and say, look, this is how we're going to get rid of your girl, and you will get literally no blood on your hands, and you could say we went rogue and didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah, this is true. That could have been the move. It could have definitely been the move. Sheldon said, how many weeks is her birthday? It is, in fact, as Jackie said in the chat, 3. It was the week before her birthday. She didn't want to be on the block for her birthday week. The week of her birthday, she didn't want to be a block during her birthday week. And then she asked Michael to also not put her up this week because it was still her birthday week, because I don't know that she knows that a week is 7 days. So
I thought she said she didn't want to go home on her birthday month.
No. She said her birthday week. And at the end, she's like, hopefully I can continue to spend my birthday month here in the Big Brother house. That's what she said. By then, Dick says that she's 70 by now. That is the case. That is the show. If you're leaving now, because we have a little bit of spoilers to get into, go ahead and take off. You can find CJ at Keyboard Sarcasm. You can find me at KG Fury. Ryan doesn't have Twitter or Instagram at the moment. He might get it soon. The West Coast. What if these guys are the West Coast Warriors? What if we're the West Coasters and it's the West Coast Warriors? That's what we got as the people in the chat.
I thought we were the 5 PMers.
Well, the 5 PMers with the West Coast Warriors in the chat. Because we're all the West Coast people. The 5 PMers, because we're watching the show at 5 when it comes on at 8.
Wait. Real Big Brother strategy. Make it an alliance with a number, but do the wrong number. So like if it's the 3 of us, let's call ourselves a 5 so that if it gets out, everyone's looking around, who's the 5th person?
The other 2, perfect. The 3 of us are the 5 PMers, and there's a 3-person alliance called the 5 PMers. I love it. If you're leaving now, thank you for joining us. If not, it is spoiler time. We're going to give you a few seconds to get up out of here. Make sure you come back on Wednesday and catch Kylie, Sheldon, and Mike going through everything that's happening in the Big Brother house. On Wednesday, they're going to go through the veto, all that good stuff. So if you're taking off now, go ahead and leave. If you want to know who on the veto, we got you in 10 seconds. It's counting down. Stretching. This is going to be a long update, baby. This is going to be a long update.
So here in 10 seconds, I'm ready to talk shit about all those people that left.
Here we go. First and foremost, we're in it now. First and foremost, the veto competition was played. Okay.
Competitions. There was more than one this time.
There was 2. And from what I understand, and I'm not positive, from what my sources say, Tiffany hosted the competition. I believe Tiffany hosted the competition from BB23. Nice. I'm not positive, but that's what I think happened. The winners of the veto are Brittany for the inside and Terrence for the outside. DJ Showtime has all the power, baby. DJ Showtime has all the power.
You're burying the lead. Michael lost a veto competition.
That's really what he need to be talking about here. Michael lost a veto.
He was undefeated. This was like the Patriots losing in the Super Bowl. It wasn't supposed to happen.
I hope it was a helmet catch. That took out.
I mean, I don't know what happened yet, but I would not be surprised if Michael threw it to Brittany.
I wouldn't be either. So we don't know exactly how the veto went down because with everyone being outside, everybody being inside, the feeds have been extremely intermittent the last 3 days. And the reason is it's highly suspected that there are multiple people yelling at the wall, just telling the truth, telling what's going on. Rumor has it that someone yelled that Kyle's a liar, save Joseph.
Yep.
That is rumored. Others are out there making things known. Apparently there was also a drone last week that flew over the wall. That's rumored too. A drone with a message flew over the wall. People are really trying to keep these leftovers going. They're trying to mobilize. Rumor has it also that there were multiple wall yellers because since they're outside, there's just people yelling. So Saturday night, the feeds were down for 14 hours until Sunday morning.
Which is crazy to me, and I'll explain why. But it's crazy to me that the feeds would be down that long, only because you could show the people inside. You don't have to show the people outside. However, the way that the Big Brother house tries to stop wall yelling is they just play music nonstop.
Well, no. The way they stop wall yelling is by bringing everybody inside. And then they shut down the feeds to discourage people from wall yelling because they don't want people out there. Now, with the twist, because they're keeping them separate, they're outside the whole time. The outside is close to the street in Los Angeles, and so that's where the people are wall yelling. Wall yelling is not like illegal. It is definitely frowned upon in the community, but it's not like illegal. So they can't really like arrest anyone.
Right.
Right. And so what they've been doing the last day is just playing music nonstop for those that are in Dire Fest because they're still outside because the twist is still going on. So while the twist is still going on, there's just loud music being played outside. So much so that people on the inside think that they're having it. First, they thought they were having a party. Now they heard it all day, and they're like, maybe they have a punishment because it's being played nonstop. Now, Jackie's right in the chat. She said they knew it was a risk, and they were. I love the concept, but that's why people are outside doing this after they saw what Kyle like blew up the spot. After that, that's when the wall yellers came out to try to save Joseph and Turner, I guess, and yell so that way they can get Kyle in trouble.
But here's the thing. People pay for the feeds, and the only problem is they're playing copyrighted music. If you played non-copyrighted music, you could show all of this.
The thing is, it's not about showing it. It's that they don't want people out there yelling at the wall.
So you think they cut the feeds to discourage it?
100%.
Also, playing music with lyrics would kind of muddle out the sounds of people talking. If you're hearing two voices at the same time, it sort of covers it up.
So also playing the music allows them to not be able to really hear their microphones. So I have no idea what they're going to show come the episode, because with the loud music playing, so that way you can't hear people yelling from outside the wall, you also can't really hear the people talking and gaming. Nope. So, and it's being played nonstop, so people can hear what's going on. I have no idea what the plan is. I have no idea what the plan is to show the outside. Now, the inside on was it yesterday? On Sunday. They did something that was crazier. They brought the feeds back, but only the inside.
Yeah.
And for all day Sunday and all day Monday, it's only been the inside. And it's the boringest show in the world because everything is locked in. And the reason it's even more boring is because we know there's action outside. We know there's action outside because that's where the things are happening. But we're inside watching them talk about their favorite Lay's flavored chips. Who, if they weren't single, would have a crush on who? Like these are the things they're talking about inside because they're just hanging out because there's nothing to do but wait for Jasmine to go home. That's all it is. Brittany has won the veto.
I'm surprised that they're not in there baking muffins to send her home with.
No, it's just there's nothing to do. They're hanging out, just waiting for Jasmine. Jasmine thinks they're waiting for Monty to go home. In reality, they're just waiting for Jasmine's death march to the jury house.
Yep.
Now, there was a tiny leak. There was for maybe 3 seconds. There's a conversation where Terrence is talking and Joseph and Turner are sitting there, and you hear a voice, which I assume is Kyle's. And it's for like a second, trying to like explain about the twist. It was a super, it was literally for like 3 seconds about the leftovers. You hear them talking about the leftovers. That did happen. The leak was so small and it wasn't long. Let me see. I was going to see if I could find it real fast. But then it went back to Eve's being down. And other than that, we've just been inside. It was a split second. Let me see if I can find it.
It's funny because, like, with the people inside, we knew that the week was going to be boring. We know Final Five is boring. So you now have what would have been the interesting game, or at least some of the interesting conversations. You're saving it for TV, which, like, I guess in a way protects your ratings for people who are feeds only. But it's real hard to watch the show and be feeds only.
It's tough. It's tough because you're still trying to learn what's going on. The feeds have just been down just constantly. Now, we don't know if this is confirmed. Spoiler Girl on Twitter has a bombshell. Brittany kept feeds this. She has the veto ceremony results. Brittany kept it the same. Ryan's head exploded. Apparently, we don't know if this is true. Terrence used the veto on Turner and put up Kyle. That's the rumor that Spoiler Girl has posted. We don't know if it's true. I want to make sure that's clear. But that's been reported by Spoiler Girl, by one of her sources. That would be crazy. What are your thoughts, Ryan?
I think a lot can happen with that. I think it's definitely possible. But I think Kyle being in the block doesn't necessarily mean he's going home. Because as I said earlier, if he has Alyssa and Terrence, then that's safe. And that could be Terrence rebuilding his relationship with Turner, saying, hey, I used the veto on you. We're good. Let's still get outvote Joseph. Or he can go, oh, wait, Kyle is bullshitting me. Let's get his ass out of here. It could be both of the two different things.
Here's the thing, though. If you put Kyle up, you know you have to cast the vote to send Kyle home because Alyssa will not send Kyle home. So you putting Kyle up means you know you are taking the shot and taking sole responsibility for what's happening.
It's an interesting move, right? Because it's going to be up to Terrence who goes home.
Yeah.
Unless they can convince Alyssa that Kyle has been lying the whole time. But I don't know if those 10 seconds of pleasure is going to be what gets it done, if this is true. It's an amazing development if this is true. It gives them some hope. Kyle going home on Terrence's HoH would be one of the most amazing things to happen. Not just like not even like on a good level. It's just, it would be crazy because Kyle rats him out. And Turner said, when he said last week, whoever turns on the alliance, it's usually the first one to go out. And if this happens so rapidly that he turns on the alliance and then the alliance takes him out for turning immediately, like he doesn't even get anyone out with the information, that's mind-blowing. Because when the house comes back together, you have 6 leftovers with Kyle taking himself out. And only Alyssa playing in the HoH competition for her and Terrence. And if it doesn't win, her and Terrence are on the block. It doesn't matter who wins veto.
Nope.
One's going home now, and the other will be home next. That's one thing. Another thing that could happen is that Michael and Brittany pick up Alyssa and take her with them. But at that point, Alyssa has 4 votes in the jury. Why would you do that?
Yeah, you got to get rid of her at that point.
You got to get rid of her. This would be crazy. And like I said, not necessarily crazy good, just extremely chaotic.
Yep.
Man, we're stunned.
Yeah. As much as I would personally enjoy Kyle going home, I feel like it's not the best move for Terrence's game. No. So.
Well, it's funny because Kyle, like, he served everything up to Terrence on a silver platter, and true to form, Terrence was like, no, I don't want that. Like, get that out of here. Like, anything that could help save my game, I will actively sabotage by going the opposite direction.
Hey, he only needs one ride or die who is about to go home, and that's all he needs.
And this
Just
week,
had to pick one every single week, and then he'll be good.
This week it's Kyle. It's crazy.
Because if he's best friends with everybody as they're going home, that could get you jury votes. If he literally picks the best friend of whoever are going home, that's could be a social game if he's intentionally doing it. The key thing that we're seeing with Terrence is the question is, okay, is Terrence strategizing this, or is he just doing it? Is he like mixing the beats because he has like some artistic vision, or is he just playing around with the sounds? Like, where is it?
It's a interesting thing, and if Terrence did take down Turner, is Turner still pissed at Terrence for putting him up to begin with?
I would assume yes, because Terrence was going to try to take a shot at your alliance, and then is still taking a shot at your alliance by taking out Kyle. He's just taking out the one that you would have cut after getting rid of Terrence.
What if he takes down Turner and then still takes out Joseph? Then he has more of a social rapport with Turner because he did use the veto on him. And yes, I did put you up, but remember when I also saved you? It's like working that back into as workable a position as possible. Still getting rid of Joseph, and then he still has that 3 alliance with Kyle and Melissa. That I think is his best move at this point. If I was Terrence, I would do that, but we'll see what Showtime shows us.
But then why risk alienating Kyle by putting him up? Like, obviously, you know Kyle's not going home if you put him up because Alyssa will never send him home. So if your intention is to send Joseph home the whole time, sure. But why create another enemy when you already have 2?
It doesn't make sense. I have to, as much as I would like to believe Spoiler Girl, I haven't seen it with my own eyes. It doesn't make sense.
But that's the thing. You haven't had feeds to see what's been happening this weekend. And like, unless a wall yeller was like, Kyle slept with your mom before coming in the house, I don't know why Terrence would switch.
Unless he's like, Kyle is sleeping with your wife for 10 seconds right now. It doesn't make sense.
I think one thing that we are sleeping on for more than 10 seconds is Turner. I think Turner has a good social game, and I think if he did have this good connection with Terrence, he could build off of that connection and say, yo, we had this great thing. What's going on? I think we're underestimating Turner's social game and maybe his ability to convince Terrence to take him off and to convince Terrence that this is a good idea. Maybe it's not Terrence making this move. Maybe it's Turner's move doing this.
That's a good point, because Turner could have convinced him like over the last couple of days that Kyle was lying. If you couple that with the wall yeller, the wall yeller saying that Kyle, because normally they usher them inside. You can't bring them anywhere. So if they're outside and they heard the yeller, see, like B Bean said, the wall yeller said Kyle is lying and is a racist, something like along those lines. Like, they're outside. Kyle's outside. Like, if you hear that and Terrence hears that, and then Turner goes, I don't know what he told you, but he made it all up. I've been with you the whole time, Terrence. Me and you have been road dogs. And like you said, Ryan, you couple the move that Kyle's done with your relationship you already have with Terrence, and then you have this wall yeller who is messing up the game. It's just so many things.
How would Jasmine describe this? I think she'd be like, this is messier than a 1-year-old eating birthday cake or something crazy like that.
Like, what's another Jasmineism? This is messier than $2 rib night at the Piglet Shack.
This is crazier than a raccoon in a candy store.
These are all great Jasmineisms. I wish we had Turner saying any of them.
Right, but he's isolated from her from the week, which is low key and kind of sad.
Less loose a chicken coop.
Yes, there we go. This is probably the last time Turner's gonna have seen Jasmine inside the Big Brother house.
Yeah.
And props to him. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to deal with her no more. That's something that he's not going to deal with.
Which, cool, but like I would have paid money to see them both get voted out, and then not see them get voted out. I want Turner voted out, but to see their ride back to the hotel together.
Yeah. It's been a crazy weekend. Nothing's confirmed about the veto winners. Normally we have a bunch of spoilers and tell you what happened with the POV ceremony. But this one's a little bit muted. 5 PMers ain't got nothing for you. That's definite. But Spoiler Girl has been wrong before. I want to make sure that's clear. She has been wrong before. Hamster Watch is pretty undefeated. Hamster Watch didn't say anything. Spoiler Girl has been wrong before. So we're not sure. But if that's the case, that's wild.
Yeah, it's unfortunately we're gonna probably have to wait until Wednesday to see what happened.
Yeah, because we're 2 days away, and I mean the most wild thing is that Brittany kept the noms the same. I just couldn't believe that. But that is the
shocked.
No, obviously. But with that, Ryan, anything you want to say to the people? You got something coming up, don't you?
Yeah. Stay tuned for Big Brother UMD Broken Bonds Season 5 premiering on YouTube September 3rd.
That's right. It's a Big Brother game played at the University of Maryland. Check that out. Ryan did the editing, and you can check that out on YouTube. CJ, you got anything going on?
No, not this week. But as always, I'm on Twitter. You can follow me at Keyboard Sarcasm. I tweet about things. Was tweeting about UFC this past weekend. Tweet about the feeds when you actually have some to watch, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And football season's coming soon.
This is true. You can find me at KG Fury at all social media platforms. I'm tweeting about the feeds when I see them, tweeting about other things like sports, fantasy football. Check that out. Make sure that you guys are liking and subscribing and commenting. We want to make sure we get those comments up, as you see, talking about it in here, having a great time. Also, make sure you subscribe, because when we get to 250 subscribers, we're giving away a signed Golden Power Veto, and we're really rolling that way. So get signed, get subscribed. Thank you for joining us. And from outside of the Big Brother house, please stop yelling over the wall.